Parry this, you filthy casual. Can you stop messing with the perfect parry window for 5 minutes? Okay, so it seems like the parry bug is starting to rile up everyone, and rightfully so, man. When you read some of these, some of these stories and how people are really getting annoyed by the parry window changes. Like I've always said the parry window changes for Lethal and Ruthless were a tad bit unnecessary. Frankly, if you're good at parrying, you're good at parrying. In Lethal, if you miss a parry, you're basically at Lethal, and you will be one-shotted. But no, seriously, in Lethal, if there are certain situations where parry isn't always going to, just carry you through the game, so I don't know. I always thought the changes to parry windows were a little bit odd, as far as Ruthless and Lethal. Same goes for the dodging windows. But yeah, and then we get a parry bug, and yeah, it hasn't been fixed for a few days. People are starting to lose their minds, and I kind of wanted to go over that and, playfully laugh at some of, the funnier comments, but also point out that, yeah, the parry windows have been under attack for quite a bit. So, okay, let's see some of this brain rot parry nonsense. It would be nice if they could leave the fencing weapons alone, since whenever they do tweak them, something goes horribly wrong with the code. I genuinely think this was a mistake. I know people pointed out there was a patch it was either 4.0 or 4.0 or 4.5. There was a patch that basically adjusted parry windows, and nobody saw a difference. So I definitely think this was something they were going to do that they, probably rolled back, but then just found its way into the patch. And then there was the parry nerf to pushback on parry to, it kind of, when you get a good perfect parry, it kind of pushes a whole, it has an AoE pushback. And for whatever reason, they changed that also. And then, yeah, now we're in the situation we're in now, where parries feel inconsistent, basically. Yeah, I think they genuinely should stop messing with the parry windows. I think for whatever reason, it's kind of odd. Parries kind of felt a bit too automatic, but I'd rather have that. At least it's consistent. But again, I've always said I didn't like how they switched up the windows for Lethal, Ruthless, and Substantial. Substantial, I'm pretty sure is fine, but I'm just saying they have different parry windows. So it's going to be harder to test, and, you're going to get a lot of feedback that isn't very accurate because they're playing on Lethal, and then they also have a changed parry window. So I don't know. To really find out what's going on with parries, you have to go to a lower difficulty, see how it feels, and then cross-reference that to Lethal and see how it feels. Because genuinely, parrying in lower difficulties feel fine. It's really just Lethal that feels inconsistent, and maybe even Ruthless a little bit. I don't know. Let me know how you guys are adapting to the parry bug at the moment, because we are going on to day 3 or day 4, something like that, of essentially a broken parry window. And yeah, it's driving people a little crazy, rightfully so. It's, it's a frustrating issue. But yeah, I kind of agree with this comment where they should just stop, they should just stop messing with the parry window. They should fix it, but then they should just leave it as it is. It's really weird. It's dude, I don't understand why make parry so valuable and then, keep fidgeting with it and then break it. It's just weird. It's just weird. But hey, you know what? I'll tell you what. It did get me to try blocking weapons, and blocking weapons are really fun, so I'm annoyed that parries aren't fixed, but at the same time, I'm playing other classes and, figuring out other things, so it's not breaking my enjoyment of the game at the moment. But I haven't played Bulwark in a bit, and I'm starting to go mad. So, hopefully the parry window is fixed soon. My character will do the parry animation as Tyranids are winding up and then just get stabbed by 4 different minorists. Bro, you were supposed to block those. Yeah, so that's another thing I've heard. I heard parrying Majorist has been obviously inconsistent, but it's actually doable. Whereas parrying Minorist, it's kind of it's impossible. But I don't know. I've heard this before. I've parried Minorist, but admittedly, I was, I wasn't the best at parrying Minorist before the patch. So now it's just I can still do it, but I'll just hit him. I'll just hit him with my melee attack now. I'll just hit him and try to get a gun strike. But Yeah, I don't know. I have heard this before. I have heard that parrying the Minorus is actually the one that feels impossible at the moment. So, yeah, let me know how you feel about, parrying Minorus for the most part. If you have been doing it, or if you just completely avoided parrying at all costs now. Fencing weapons were fine and had a clear role. All they had to do was buff the other two. Why tweak it at all? I mean, yeah, look, all he had to do was buff the other two, but I really enjoy what we got out of blocking, to be honest. I enjoy the blocking changes. And yeah, I assume they're going to tweak blocking probably a little bit more, maybe tweak balancing, but I really hope they just, stay away from fencing for a bit. Fencing is fine. It is fine. I was already preferring balance most of the time. This guy preferred balance. Okay, that's interesting. Then this guy's in a good spot then, because balance got buffed as well. Now, I have heard the balance swings are very slow, and, the blocking chainsword is getting a lot of love recently, so I don't know. I think blocking is definitely the way to go for the chainsword. That's what I'm using for the tactical at the moment. I'm going to start doing some lethal runs with blocking soon, and I'm excited for it. It's definitely going to be fun. But, yeah, definitely, fencing weapons definitely had a clear role. I firmly believe fencing is strong, but in certain situations, it's not going to carry you. Like, you can still get overwhelmed using fencing. Getting surrounded at all is really bad, so there's still ways the game can definitely punish you for, playing too passively. And, yeah, I think fencing was in a good spot. It was strong, but it's still not going to be... Like, it's going to get you 90% of the way. You know what I mean? That last 10% is definitely going to come down to if you're refilling your contested health, or your positioning, staying away from getting surrounded. Yeah, your perk setup. There's a lot of other factors that are going to be a bigger play at finishing an operation rather than just perfect parries. This bug has pretty much sapped my enjoyment out of the flow of combat. Okay, if, this is obviously going to be a criticism comment, which is fine, but if you are not enjoying operations right now, try some PvP. And if you don't like PvP, then I'm sorry. I've gone from finishing lethal and routinely playing ruthless to feeling like I suddenly can't play this game at all. I'm going to disagree here, unless you really just like playing one class. I want to go back to playing some fencing bulwark today, just to, see like if I can complete lethal and stuff with it, but I'm pretty sure I can. But yeah, this game is at it. Look, this game's actually in a good spot right now. It's just the pairing that can kind of be weird. If you feel like you can't play this game at all because you don't have a fencing weapon, then sheesh, man. I just think you need maybe a break is good, and then come back to it. The game will feel fresh. Try out blocking. Just try out something new, and then maybe your enjoyment of the game will start to creep back up. Melee situations that I had no problem with previously are now a total mess. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't... look, I understand that parrying is bug and it's going to be frustrating. I just don't 100%... I'm not convinced by the hyperbole. Like, going from melee situations that I had no problem to, and now you can't play the game, that's just way too big of a swing for me. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think you basically need to take a break. Maybe come back, play some heavy. The heavy parry system seems fine for the most part. Because it was never like fencing and the windows were, I don't know. Let me know how you feel about heavy parrying, because for me, heavy parrying felt fine. Just obviously not as, I didn't parry as much with the heavy anyway, so I don't really have anything to reference it to. Well, you can tell with a bulwark parry because you're parrying as bulwark the entire time, you know what I mean? Never been a huge fan of balanced weapons despite their better damage speed, mostly because the parry window feels like it's in a completely counterintuitive spot. I've never been a huge fan of balanced weapons despite their better damage and speed. We'll try blocking, because blocking's faster than balance, at least for chainswords. I know people's mileage varies, and more power to those who like it. Respect. Oh, well, that's fair. Okay, well, I mean, that's fair. I think this guy just needs a break. Seriously considering just putting the game down until it's fixed. And that's completely fine. That is completely fine for you to do. I'm just suggesting that you should try out maybe a new class, or try some blocking Thunderhammer and put it on lower difficulties. You're learning a new class. There's nothing wrong. You don't have to jump into Ruthless and to, like, I don't know, solidify your gaming at the moment. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with going down to a lower difficulty and just enjoying the environment of the game. I do that quite often. But yeah, essentially try out something new. And yeah, if the parries are bugging you that much, there's nothing wrong with just putting the game down until it's fixed. Because it will be fixed. They have confirmed it's a bug. It's just taken a little bit. And, you know, rightfully people are kind of losing their minds about it, and that's why we are here. So let me know in the comments if you lost your mind. What I got from this is that every time a new content patch drops, I need to stop playing until the dev posts an update a few days later, assuming I didn't move on to something else by then. Okay. Okay, obviously they're being a little bit harsh, but I still find it funny. No, you do not need to do that. There hasn't been that many bugs. I think this is the bug that's really driving people crazy, because there's moments when we were all kind of questioning if it was a bug or not, or, you know, if we were just missing parries and stuff. Again, I understand that it's frustrating, but the devs have been doing a great job at patching their game. The game's been out for like a few months, you know. There's been games out there that's been released before, before Space Marines 2 that haven't even been patched and stuff like that. It's just, you know, I think we're in a good spot with this game. They clearly want to make this game good and have more content. They want to add the longevity to the game because they are interested in selling cosmetics. And honestly, I gotta say the Dark Angels cosmetic pack is really good. I'm happy with. I purchased it on my console. I had it for the season pass on PC. So I don't know. There's just a lot of customization options that I really enjoy now. I need to stop playing until the devs post an update a few days later. I guess you can still just play and figure things out. Like, I don't know. I just think this is a bit of an overreaction. If you enjoy the game, you should still enjoy the game. If you're frustrated with the parries, that's perfectly fine. Just put the game down for a bit, maybe try out a different class. There's nothing that really is stopping me from completing operations and leveling up my class. But again, I am leveling up classes. I'm leveling up tactical with a blocking weapon, and then I'm leveling up heavy. I'm a bulwark main. As far as high difficulty operations, I play bulwark. And yeah, the parries are definitely a little bit inconsistent. However, for the most part, if you're in a good position, you can still nail those parries. We've done a video with that. So parrying you can still parry. It's just the window's shorter, and yeah, your muscle memory is going to be kind of out of sync. And yeah, that can be frustrating. But yeah, I hope for a parry fix as soon as possible as well. So, you know, there's that. But yeah, just know that we're all in the same boat. We all want the game to be as good as possible. But if you let it affect your emotions too much, then you are going to have a bad feeling about just jumping back into the game. In fact, like sometimes when people get too frustrated at a game, it's hard for them to go back to it because they can only remember frustration. I've never had that position for Space Marines 2, even though there's been times where I'm kind of upset at a way an operation went or something. I just, exit out of the game and then come back to it a little bit when I'm calmed down, and yeah, just find something to have fun with, and then you can enjoy the game again. The parrying system right now in the spot it is in should not be deterring you from playing the game and leveling up your classes. It should kind of deter you from playing lethal though. So yes, hopefully it is fixed, of course. Minorists also just need their attack window changed, I think. It doesn't seem to line up visually, and a lot of the times I parry Zangors, it's usually a jank timing, like after they landed their hit. You know what? This is actually an interesting comment because this is something I haven't heard before. I just assumed the Minorist attack windows were weird because of how slow they are to attack. There's a lot of times where they put their claws up and go at you, and then you'll parry, but they're actually still just sitting there watching you. So, I don't know. This is a good comment. Let me know how you guys feel about the Minorist attack windows. But yeah, for the most part, I don't know. For the most part, a lot of the parries that I'm missing on Minorists are my mistakes. However, they do have a weird parry window, so I don't know. I just opt to hit them and then get a gun strike. They shouldn't keep messing with it, but consistently getting perfect parries just by spamming the button is just bad game design. They said constantly. Constantly getting perfect parries just by spamming the button is just bad game design. I mean, look, I agree, but nothing stops you from just not spamming the button. You know what I mean? So it is kind of an overlooked game design, for sure. But it is still in your power to just not play that way. You know what I mean? However, yes, I've been guilty of just spamming the perfect parry button. And yes, the thought had occurred to me that it is actually less fun than just parrying perfectly, you know, without spamming the button. That being said, if taking out the button spam for a parry leaves the parries at a point where nobody feels like they can consistently wrap their head around it, I think there definitely needs to be something looked at, you know? And since the devs already said that the parry situation is a bug at the moment, yeah, it's just hard for me to justify, you know, not making everyone frustrated, but essentially it's hard for me to justify changing the parries to the point where they're at now, where it feels very inconsistent, to where it felt too consistent, you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather go for the too consistent, obviously. But yeah, I pointed this out with Zoanthropes before. If something is bugged and it is punishing you more than it usually would, then that needs to be changed. If something, like, essentially if something's difficult and if it's only difficult because it's bugged, then it needs to be nerfed in the ground. So kind of the same thing with the parries. Right now, parries are bugged. Before, they weren't bugged and they were working. So even though they had the bad game design of spamming the parry button until you get a parry, I'd rather that than what we have now, which is people being hesitant to parry at all because they're not sure if it's going to work or not. So, I don't know. So, trust me, guys. I'm here with you. This is a video where we're going to just vent. We're just going to vent about our frustration with the parries at the moment. And yeah, like, look, I want to go back and play Bulwark. I want to go play my Gunstrike character, you know what I mean? But I am having fun with blocking, so it's not actually throwing me off from the game too much, or at all, really. I'm still playing the game quite a bit. So, I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun with blocking chainswords. I want to try some blocking power fist. I want to level up my assault. I want to play some heavy, you know. I'm just staying away from the class that I relied on parries with. I'm just staying away from Bulwark for now. So, yep, that is how I feel about it. That is how a lot of people feel about it. Let me know in the comments how you feel about it. And thanks for watching.